Good morning and welcome to KTM Mid-Morning. My name is Koi. Now, every artist knows that an exhibition record is paramount to success. Artists showing in exhibitions in major cities, major museums, and galleries, art centers, or cultural environments, more often than not, offer more value to collectors. Also, an artist whose work is consistently producing good work after good work helps to increase the value of all his or her work. Now, with that said, let's meet MUNENE, who is well aware of the importance of showcasing his work. He talks to us about some of the work he has done and the ideas behind his work. Stay tuned for that.
This party don't stop, don't stop. This party don't stop. It goes on and this party don't stop, don't stop. This party don't stop. It goes on and on.
Well, MUNENE is an artist and a cartoonist and an illustrator. Currently working for the Standard Media Group as an editorial cartoonist, and also I'm a painter. I do portraits and wildlife painting. I've been drawing since I was in nursery school. I started professionally when I was in high school. I entered a competition with the Nation Media Group and I emerged the best. Then after high school, I entered an organized competition by the Standard Media Group where I emerged the best. That's why how I got my job at the Standard. So professionally, I've been working for 5 years. And so far, so good. I've gained a lot of experience. In cartooning, we have 3 types of cartoons. We have the comic strip, we have the editorial cartoon, and we have the caricatures. Editorial cartoons normally appear in the page 8, 12, or 14 of every daily newspaper. And then for the comic strips, we have things like Bongoman, which run on a daily basis. Maybe it's more of a continuation of a story. And then you have caricatures. Caricatures is whereby you exaggerate somebody depending on the features, the way they are. The guy could be having a big nose, a big chin, and then you just exaggerate. You can choose to exaggerate or leave it plain. That becomes a portrait. And then in painting, we have different types of painting. I do portrait painting. I also do wildlife painting. You can also maybe have like an activity painting, whereby you can have maybe a community celebrating something, maybe circumcision times or that, showing activity in a community. My inspiration normally comes from nature, what is around me, what I see, or even what I dream. I can dream of maybe doing a cartoon and then I wake up and maybe write it somewhere. In the morning I'll go and do it. And maybe the people too inspire me. You get different people with different views and ideas, and you get an inspiration from them. And then the availability of a wildlife. Many countries don't have wildlife. I think we are among the best countries that have the variety of wild animals, the big 5 and all that. So locally available wildlife also gives me inspiration. Being a cartoonist is a challenge because you have to capture the daily events, day-to-day events, and the media, and the newspaper. So they have to vary, they keep changing. Today's cartoon can never be tomorrow's cartoon. You never repeat ideas. So it's a kind of a challenge because you have to know that the audience is also watching. So you have to make the cartoons simple and maybe easy to know what they are trying to say. I'm a professional bodybuilder and also I'm a gym instructor. So when I'm not doing cartoons or paintings, you'll always find me in the gym.
You better bring somebody to the club, to the club.
Maybe when I'm doing portraits, I try and maybe look for people who are widely recognized, like the world icons. I have guys like Mandela. Everyone is familiar with Mandela's face. So it creates no time for somebody to ask you, who is this? Where is he from? So I try to go for the familiar faces. Yeah.
It goes on and on. Stop, 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 stop. It goes on and on. Stop, 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 stop. It
Pablo Picasso, I think he's a role model of every artist, me included. And when it comes to cartoon, Gado is a real inspiration. Stano and a guy called Iga. They took me from being nobody to where I am today. And I also want to thank Frank Odoy, the late Frank Odoy. He was the one who discovered me, and through my paintings and all that, he saw that I could do something. And up to date, I've been doing my best just to keep the promise. For you to be an artist, you need to be dedicated, motivated, and gain the interest in doing the art. And also you have to be talented. Because me, I believe talent is only 2%. 98% is dedication, discipline, and maybe having the self-drive to what you are doing. What I've seen in all the art that I've seen in galleries of the artists, maybe some of them need to be realistic, and you have to show how, maybe if you are doing a painting of a car, show it the way it is. Don't add things that are not there. And also the color selection. Choose colors that are more friendly to the environment. Take time to produce a painting so that you can give it your best. I think we Kenyan artists, we are lucky. Because like Kenya is a peaceful country. Not compared like in Somali. I don't think artists in Somali are free to be creative, and they don't have a ready market because the place is there's a lot of violence there. And then in Kenya, you would find that we have a lot of tourists, so our market is ready. And then the fact that we have a variety of nature, we artists can produce what we are seeing. Like Mount Kenya, it's here in Kenya. An artist in the US maybe have to maybe go and find a picture or something, but we have Mount Kenya here in Kenya. So you can just go and maybe see the real Mount Kenya and produce it from there. So that's an added advantage to us. And then we are lucky because we have different varieties of animals and different scenes. And we can also create mood in the painting that we are doing. Kenya, now that we have campaigns ongoing, and we have many politicians trying to vie for the presidency, it also creates a market for us artists. Because you can do a portrait of maybe somebody like Raila Odinga, and you have a variety of different people to do the portraits. As we never got to saw the diagnosis, but through the paintings that were done earlier by different artists, we get to know how they looked like. So basically, when somebody buys my painting, it's a treasure, it's a Kenyan treasure that you have in the house. And a future, maybe you can show your children how they look like, and a painting never dies. Fame, nature, and the funny. This is my first solo exhibition whereby I'm featuring paintings, some of my best. And after this, I'm planning to open a gallery where I'll be having both the portraits, cartoons, and paintings, all in a ready market for sale.
Stay tuned for Right at Home, which is coming up next.
There are advocates or lawyers who choose to specialize on conveyancing, and so such advocates are the ones a client should actually go and seek advice from. And my advice would be a client would need in any transaction, be it a mortgage or purchase of sale of land or a house, property, whatever it is, a purchaser should actually go to an advocate from the very onset, as at the time of them seeking to purchase, so that an advocate should be involved from the very onset in terms of getting to know the background of the vendor, undertaking the relevant searches, and just doing the due diligence and the background work of the property, so that should there be any hitch or any issue that may arise at the time of conducting the searches, the advocate will be able to be in a position to pick it up and advise the client appropriately, and then they would either choose to either proceed or rectify the issue, or the same can be addressed at that particular juncture. So generally, yes, advocates can, as long as an advocate has a practicing certificate, they can handle conveyancing matters, but there are those who have actually chosen to specialize in conveyancing. Searches are very important, and we have two kinds of searches. There's a searches that you do at the land registry. Now, it will really let you know so much on the land in terms of the history of the land, the true ownership of the land, whether the land is encumbered in any manner, or whether it is charged. By encumbered, I mean whether it has a charge or a mortgage or maybe a caveat that has been placed, whether there are other third-party interests on that particular parcel of land. And it also lets you know whether this land actually exists, because as it is right now, we have so many fake titles going around. Then where the company is involved, it's also important to undertake a search at the company registry. So this search will establish the directors of a company and the shareholders, because some people can actually claim they're selling property in the name of a certain company, and when you conduct a search at the lands office, you actually find out that it's actually under the name of that company. But when you go to the company's registry, you establish that the directors are actually different from the people who are actually fronting the sale. If it is a caveat, we have had issues where somebody can purchase a property or rather put a deposit on a purchaser that on a property that has as an issue like a caveat, but then we'll assist now the owner of the land to lift the caveat. If this caveat has actually been placed on monetary issues, where the person who placed the caveat probably had some money that was owed to him by the previous, or the owner of the land. So where you have land and it has a caveat and you feel like this caveat can be lifted, if the person who had placed the caveat can be, has money paid off or it can be settled off, then that can be done. But there are issues that cannot be settled. For example, where a wife has placed a caveat on family land and they do not want this land sold off, or this money cannot be actually raised to pay off the mortgage. So there are issues on the encumbrances on a title that can actually be sorted out even after you've more or less come in and paid a deposit. However, there are those that are a bit difficult, and you may have to either terminate, withdraw, and now push to get your refund back. Now, considering the role the advocate plays in every transaction, I would think it would be one of the costs a purchaser or a buyer should really look into when they're either disposing of or purchasing land, considering the paramount issues, I mean, the role they play. It is actually quite a very important role. Then we are governed by the advocate's remuneration order, where all these fees are outlined. So there would not be much of an issue in saying that when you're looking at an advocate, you're looking at an issue of cost, considering they play a very important role in my opinion, because they'd actually save you more costs. Yeah, should you have lost the land or should you have entered into a land that was probably a transaction that was fraudulent. At the very onset, especially when it comes to off-plan purchases, there is the contract, because what you're buying is you're buying something off-plan, probably by looking at a model or an approved drawing. The land probably at that particular time, probably when the construction work has now commenced. So at that particular stage, what you will have is a contract. And in that contract, where your advocate comes in is to interpret the clauses and to negotiate for you and ensure that there are provisions that have been set out in that agreement, ensuring that your interests are protected in the manner that should there be a delay, for example, you get to get paid interest, or should you decide to withdraw out of no fault of your own, or maybe because of the vendor's delay or a default on his end, then you can get your refund back together with an agreed interest on top, so that you don't come out there as a loser.
As women, we have tools, resources, and freedom to make decisions that can better our lives. One powerful medium is inspiration from others, and that's what the Eve Sisters are here for. Now, for those unable to attend, don't worry, because the Eve Sisters segment brings you a recap of what took place. Stay tuned for that.
No amount of voting and voting this person in and that person is going to change the existing condition of this nation. If we're going to change it, it's going to be have to be at a grassroots level, but we don't have enough capital to do what we want to do. I told you that I was going to talk about the 40 ships. But I changed my mind. Because I talked about the appetite shift. There's also the astronomical, the atmospheric, the biochemical, the continuum, the political, the corporate, the cosmological, the cultural. Our world is a different culture. Before, we had to get on an airplane to do business. Now you could stay in your bunny rabbit slippers with your best shorts and put on a jacket and a tie on the top and Skype. You don't have to go to the world anymore. The world is coming to you. I'm going to say it again. You don't have to go and negotiate by getting on an airplane anymore. The world is coming to you. The question is, when the world comes to you, are you going to be prepared for what the world is demanding? And they are going to be demanding. Why? Because they're looking for answers. It's called pitch and peer. You find the biggest problem, you peer your biggest solution, and you prosper. Because prosperity is attached to solving problems. The bigger the problem, the bigger the prosperity. And if your nation has a big problem, that means that's a divine indication that Kenya is about to prosper big. And if we are going to prosper big, who are the ones that have put industry in place so that there's a wealth transfer? What does your industry leaders look like? Have they built an industry? Have they built businesses? Have we built an infrastructure to sustain the kind of wealth that is about to hit the shores? This is the question. Everybody wants to be wealthy. Very few people back themselves up and build a structure for wealth. We have to look at our core. Why? Because if your core cannot sustain it, then you will implode. Not explode, you will implode. And this is why the discussion on the values is important. Let's put our slide up. I'm going to jump over my presentation. But trust me, there are 40 shifts. And you need to know what they look like and what they are. And you need to know the implications for your business. You need to know your implications. In January, actually, in November of last year, we were looking at my business. Our accountants were looking. And they said, Dr. Trim, something is going wrong here. We were here a couple of years ago. Now we're here. And we were looking, and I said, we're working harder. We're producing products and goods and services. And it seems as if we're right there. But yet we're not making any money. You know what I had to do? Something very hard. I ended up having to shut down an entire corporation. I lost millions of dollars. I had to release staff members that had been with me 17 years, 12 years. The hardest thing. I knew I had to do it 2 years ago. In fact, I put together a severance package. I gave all of the employees a severance package. Guess what happened? They felt sorry for me. They liked working with me so much that they showed up after I had fired them. They showed up on the Monday, and they started working without pay. They said, you don't have to pay us. We believe in your vision so much so that until you get a new staff, you don't have to pay us. 1 month went by, 2 months went by, 3 months, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They are still there. I sit on a board. I'm the chairman of a board of another corporation. And they said to me, I can't get one good executive. But you fire your executives. And your executives are back working for you, paying no money. And I'm offering the top salary. And I cannot even attract one executive. Something is wrong with this picture. People follow vision, not money. If you want to attract investors to this nation, you don't attract them by offering them anything other than a vision of the future. What does Kenya look like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, 50? Not what it looks like today. Sell me on a vision and you got my money. Sell me on your vision. You've got my experience. You got my time. You got my talent. That's why I want to applaud Kenya for Vision 2013. You are in the race and you didn't even know it. This is where Kenya is going to look like. And you need to get in on ground level, because the time is going to come when we will turn away investors. But here's what Kenya will refuse to do. You will refuse to let another foreign investor come into Kenya and buy your property. You want to lease the property and lease it for 50 or 100 years. A future generation yet unborn to time. That when that 50 or 100-year period is over, see ya. Thank you very much. We realize that you cannot take your hotel, you cannot take your buildings, you cannot take your factory with you. But it's nice to have known you. I forgot I was elevated. I was wondering why I was so tall. I thought I had actually had a miracle, that God had actually given me an extra 4 inches. You don't give away property. You lease it. You want to do business with us? We'll give you the best of properties. In fact, we'll allow you to lease it $1 a year. Don't be greedy. Long term. I'm more than just a pretty face. Don't take Kenya and Kenyans for granted. Kenya, when we talk about capital, the last thing that you need to entertain when you have a vision on the table is how we're going to pay for it. Because if God has given you a vision, the resources are already there for you to pay for it.
It is vital for artists to exhibit their work. Now, a strong exhibition record or a history of works inclusion in exhibition is of value. Good artwork is shown in exhibitions, and it's also true that works of art increase in value each time that they are exhibited. Now, this is one of the reasons why major collectors are interested in exhibitions and relationships with museums and galleries. Now, if a work is discussed or reproduced within a publication, the work's value increases even more. So for all the potential artists out there, make sure that you exhibit your work as much as you can. Mid-morning at standardmedia.co.ke is our contact. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page. It's called KTM Mid-Morning. Drop in a comment and like the page if you enjoy the features. Now it's goodbye for now.